a favorite of Oprah, and someone who has really touched me and millions of people across the globe with his work. Inside his book, The Four Agreements, he really changed my life and made me start thinking about why we do things and why other people do things, and to start considering that nothing in your life is personal, to start really changing the way that I view the behaviors and actions and reactions of others. So on today's episode, we're going to dive in with Don Miguel Ruiz. I want to start by asking you, Don, what is love?
Well, this is the most interesting and wonderful question, because love is everything that really exists. It's how I call the truth. Truth and love is exactly the same thing. You know, the truth exists long before the creation of humanity and will exist long after the extinction of humanity. And truth is forever, is what really exists. And love is exactly the same thing. Love is everything. Everything is love. But what we humans, we perceive love, but we distort it. Then the way that we learn to love is the way how our family loves, our society loves, and this is how we learn to love. And we learn, just like everybody else, with conditions. Then our love is a conditional love. And that's how we love everybody. This is how everybody loves us, with conditions. And because we learn to love with conditions, this is the same way that we love ourselves. We love ourselves with conditions, which means that I love you if you let me control you. If you do whatever I want you to do, then I love you. If you walk the way I want you to walk, talk the way I want you to talk, dress the way you wanted to talk, behave the way I want you to behave, then I love you. But if not, I will not love you. That means that I need to control you in order to love you. But this is the way that everybody also loves you. They try to control you. They try to tell you what to do, what not to do, what to say, how to behave, etc., etc. Then it becomes a real war of control. But the main problem is when the way we love ourselves also with conditions. I love myself only if I become what I wish to be. Then the punishment for that kind of love is rejection. If you don't let me control you, then I will reject you. If you cannot control me, you will reject me. And if I cannot control myself, I will reject myself. And then I will carry guilt and blame and all that garbage and anger and envy, everything. Then we can say that the whole problem of humanity is because we love with conditions. If we understand that point, we also will understand the roots of all the conflict, violence, injustice, even war. But that kind of love, which is really not love, but the opposite, is what has been ruled humanity for thousands and thousands of years. But the real love really exists. We perceive love, but like I said before, we distort it. And love is unconditional. It's just the way it is, and it's real and it's true. But the love what we use is, like I say, is the opposite. And it's what creates the story of our life, the story of humanity, the story of our personal life. And this is how we rule our life, because our love is conditional.
Wow. And it's so good to hear you spell it out so clearly. And it seems that a lot of that control that you were talking about comes from people not feeling safe. So they want to control the situation. Now, what do you feel is the path that we love without conditions?
Well, first of all, is to understand that every single human is an artist. We all are artists and we create. This is what we do. We are always creating. Even if it looks like we don't do anything, we are always creating. And as an artist, we create a masterpiece of art, which is the story of our life. That story is everything is about me. It's about the main character of the story, which is what you believe you are. And you believe that you're the main character of that story, and everything that you perceive, everything that you believe, everything that everybody else does is about you. Mm-hmm. Then that the whole story is about you. But if we can understand that it's just a story and it's only true for us, but for nobody else, then perhaps everything will start changing. We create every secondary character of the story. The people who live in our mind is we only know what we believe about them. But all those secondary characters are based in characters that really exist, because it's true that you have a mother or father, but the ones who live in your story is just an image that you create about your father and your mother, an image that you create about your beloved, your children, your friends, everybody around you. There's only images of the real ones, but they are the ones who live in your story. They're the ones who populate your story. If you really don't know anybody, you only know what you believe about them. You believe about those images that you create. And it's very interesting when we understand how we create that story. But even go a little deeper, there's another character that we create, which is the most important one in the story, which is the main character. In my case, is Miguel Ruiz. Miguel Ruiz is the main character of my story. And for many, many, many years, I used to believe that I am Miguel Ruiz, that Miguel Ruiz was real. But then I discovered that it's just my creation, a character that I create with everybody else's help. Because while I was growing up, I hear everybody else's opinions, my parents' opinions, my brothers, sisters' opinions, my friends' opinions, teachers. Everybody has an opinion about me. They want me to be the way they believe I should be. And I make an agreement with all of them and with myself, and I try to please everybody else, try to be the way they want me to be. But it was impossible. There was no way that I can be like everybody else wants me to be. And I create this character who tries to adapt to every circumstance, to every event that happened in life. And the name is Miguel Ruiz. But am I really Miguel Ruiz? No, I am not. The truth is that I have no idea what I am. But I know that I create Miguel Ruiz, and it's not real. It looks real, feels real. And like I said before, for a long time, I really believed it was real until I find out that it's not true. That the Miguel Ruiz, the main character of my story, is just my creation, and the whole story is about Miguel Ruiz. And this is the main point in this book that will be released, in the total art of life and death.
I'm really excited to hear more about the book, The Toltec Art of Life and Death, you have coming out. We're really excited to get that to the listeners. And first, I'd just like to hear a little bit more about this experience. What is the experience like when you love without stories, when you're not trying to be who other people want you to be, or you're not making up a story about even who your partner is?
Well, it's absolutely peace. When you love without conditions, you have no expectations, and you really don't have any obligations. Whatever you do is because you want to do it, but you don't have to. You don't have to believe any judgment, any opinion from anybody else, because now you love yourself unconditionally and you accept yourself just the way you are. You don't have to be anything else but you. You don't have to pretend to be anything. It's okay to be you. And you find out that you're perfect just the way you are. And once that happens, you gain all that respect about yourself. You respect yourself completely, 100%. And when you respect yourself, now you can respect everybody around you. You will understand that they also create their own story, and what they know about you is only what they believe about you. They really don't know you. And because you respect their story, they're free to be or to do whatever they want to do or to be. Then you get first that inner peace, and then just by being you, everybody around you just have that love for you, that love and that respect. That it's just wonderful to live in that way.
I'm curious, Don. I went and listened to you years ago, and you talked about dying and what happened to you when you died. How has your life changed? And for the listener, if you're curious, Don really is going to be diving deeper into the experience of death in his book, The Toltec Art of Life and Death. For right now, for you, the listener, I want us to kind of peel back the curtains a little bit and find out what happened to Don, his story, and his idea of life when he died and when he came back.
Well, the whole thing happened when I had the major heart attack, and I knew that my life was very short. That maybe I have a few hours before I die, and I was so excited because I had the opportunity to share with everyone the best way to live our physical body. There was no fear at all. It was a very intense pain, yes, but I was excited for the outcome. It was so great for me to feel that experience. And as you know, when we are dying, it's like the whole story of our life is just in front of us. You can remember everything, and it takes no time. It's very fast. You just, because you are the creator, you know your whole story. And it was in that moment when I went into a 9 weeks of coma. Then for 9 weeks, I had that little dream that I don't know if it's the whole 9 weeks or just 10 seconds or 1 minute. And it doesn't matter because it's really a whole story. And in that story, my mother, Sarita, tried to pull me back to life. And by doing that, she went into my dream and she let me know very clearly that I didn't have the right to die before she dies. Then she did everything that was in her power to pull me back. Then what I did is to say, okay, well, if you want to bring me back to life, you have to gather all those great memories who transform my life to take me into an alignment and until the truth. And in that way, perhaps you can bring life to my body again. But in order to do that, you need to face all those lies that exist in my mind. Because we can say that a lie is just a distortion of the truth. You know, like when you see yourself in a mirror, the image of the mirror is exactly the opposite of the real you. Then we perceive love the way it is, but in our mind, which is a reflection of that love, is exactly the opposite and is full of lies. Well, in this book, I create this character that represents everything that I know, but everything that I know was focused on the main character of my story, which is Miguel Ruiz, but without being really Miguel Ruiz. Then we create that secondary character, which the name is Lala. And Lala is everything that I know with all those lies. And this is exactly what Sarita, my mother, have to face in order to challenge all those lies, to get the truth, and to redeem, we can say, that great character in my story, which is my knowledge. Then the whole story is really a redemption of knowledge, which means to clean it up, all those lies, in order that only the truth lives in those memories. Then by the end, in that redemption of knowledge, then the mind just dissipate and go with the creator, with everything. And this is when Sarita, we can say, brings me back to life. And after 9 weeks of coma, I opened my eyes again. And we can see it was really an act of supreme love that came from my mother to me in order to bring me back. And it's unconditional love. But the beautiful part is that interaction between my mother and Lala, because that also affects my mother, and that affects the belief system of my mother also. And it was so wonderful when finally I opened my eyes and I see the transformation of my mother throughout that experience.
I'm really curious what you think it takes for us in loving in our lives to access that supreme love, or to step outside of those stories that you're talking about.
Well, we can say that love is the real truth. Is the energy. Is we can call it God also. You know, everything that exists is extremely simple. It's nothing but matter and energy. Matter has a beginning, has an end. Energy is eternal, cannot be changed, but cannot be destroyed. Then in physics, we remember that matter only can move if a force moves matter. And if it's a movement, only can be stopped if a force stops matter. Well, that force, that energy is life. And life, energy, love, God is exactly the same thing. Is everything that really exists and is immortal. And when we leave our physical body, the physical body will disappear sooner or later. Sometimes little by little, or sometimes when they burn in, they go very fast. But that matter will be recycling and create more matter. Well, the energy will create more matter. But then the question is, what are we? Are we the matter or are we the force that moves matter? Like if you see your physical body made by matter is made by millions of atoms and electrons. But the space in between the atoms and electrons is hundreds of times bigger than matter itself. And that is moving everything. It's life. And the size of life is immensely bigger than matter. And it's that life who gives shape to that matter. It creates organs and gives the function to those organs and creates an equilibrium. It's just beautiful to see everything. And we can see that matter reflects life. And by reflecting life, it creates an entire virtual reality, a whole reality, which is the mind. And the mind is really a reflection of life through matter. Matter reflects light, creates the mind, and the mind creates the whole story by perceiving life, which is perceiving love, distorting it, and gives shape to everything, and really believes and have an emotional reaction to everything also. And all that comes also with interaction between life and matter. That is so beautiful to see all that wonderful interaction. Then when we create that story, the evolution of that story, we can say that it relates with the story of everybody else. 7 billion people's stories is kind of the same of my own story. The only thing that changed is names, characters, main character. But usually human stories are very similar. One looks more dramatic than others. But by the end, none of that are real, but it's based in reality. Then when somebody reads the story of my life and they compare with their own, they will see that this book really is guiding them how to change the world that they create, which means to change the story that they create. And the way to do it is by redeeming the belief system that they have, by redeeming the main character of their story, the big demon that exists in everybody's mind, which is nothing but a distortion and is not even real. Then that can apply to everyone. Then when we read that book, we can be part of that book and see that story, when we shift it in our own, is really guiding us to ourselves to be authentic, to really transform all those dramas into joy, into happiness, into peace, into our personal heaven, a heaven of love. And this is the intention of this beautiful book.
You're making me think and remember when I went into a deep meditation, and I don't remember how long I was gone for, but when I came back, all I knew was that there was only love and there was nothing else, and that I understood that people had a belief that they had to be somewhere or get somewhere to be enlightened or to feel love, and that was their problem, because really there really wasn't any problem, and there wasn't such a thing as a person or anything that wasn't created from love. And when I was there, Don, there was no time and there was no need really to do anything because everything seemed to be happening very magically. And the story of me was intertwined with everyone. So there wasn't even a me. There was everyone.
Exactly. And that is the conclusion. There is no me anymore. It's just an identity. But it works beautifully.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It is a wonderful place to be, to see that. And your books are really wonderful insights into that time in space that, all of us have these magical moments where we feel like the whole world is okay, even though none of our problems have been fixed. And your books kind of give us an opportunity to get to that place more often.
And we can stay there. That's the most beautiful part. We don't have to believe anymore. The fifth agreement. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. Don't believe me. Don't believe yourself. And don't believe anybody else. They live in their own story. And that's why it's only true for them, but not for you. The same way that you live in your own story, that is your truth, even that is not necessarily the truth, but can guide you to the truth, because when you got the truth, you put yourself aside. You're not in between anymore between the truth and the truth. That makes sense?
It really changes everything. And it makes me think of how sometimes when I think I have a problem or that there is a problem, when I can learn to just tell myself there isn't a problem or let go of that idea, then I find out that that problem was actually love happening, and that's actually what was happening. But for some reason, I had this idea that the world had to be a certain way, so I made it conditional. And then later I discover, wait, when I let go of that condition, I realized that even that thing that seemed like a problem was love.
Yes. Like my son Miguel, in his teachings, when he talked about the 4 agreements, he say how people corrupt the 4 agreements and they change it into the 4 conditions, which is conditional love. I only be friends with someone that is impeccable with the word. I will not be around people who take this personally. I don't like people who make assumptions. I don't like people who don't do their best. If you see we are corrupting it and we use it against ourselves because we don't have that respect yet, then even something as beautiful for agreements, we can corrupt it and use it against ourselves and against everybody else, because we can use it to judge other people. See that? They're not impeccable with the word. You cannot believe in those people, but they don't discharge them.
I've seen that. And actually, I experienced that the first time I read your book when it first came out, or many years ago. And I experienced that where it was like I wanted to be impeccable with everything I said. And I wanted to never take anything personally, and could kind of used it and distorted it at first. And when I read The Mastery of Love, it took it much deeper for me and helped me to understand in a deeper way that it was not about ammo to use against other people or myself, that it's really a fuller experience to tap more into love that is existing moment by moment. I'd love to hear more about how to master love. I know that this is something that you are a master at yourself. What do you feel that it takes to master love in our lives?
Well, practice makes the master. We need to practice love. And the way to practice love is just to be yourself, to be you, and not try to be anybody else. Then we can say that love is an equilibrium between gratitude and generosity. Then when you practice gratitude and generosity, you see that you're loving everything around you. You live this single moment. Every moment of your life, you love it. First, you have that gratitude just to be alive. Every time that you wake up, you have so much gratitude that you live with that gratitude. And that gratitude changes into generosity when you give that wherever you go. Then you give your love everywhere. And when you perceive everybody else, you have the gratitude for whatever anyone do for you. Then when you practice that love, be grateful for everything and be generous with yourself, you can see that life becomes really a great paradise. You can see that what stops that gratitude and that generosity is selfishness. Other people's selfishness is what stops you to keep sharing, to keep giving, or to say thanks to them. Then this is, we can say, the limit of love, other people's egos, other people's selfishness. But of course, they will not understand that, and you don't need to judge or anything. It's simple. If they are not grateful for what you do, you just don't do it. You just stop giving, you stop sharing. Then they are the ones who close those doors, not you, because they can try to take advantage of your generosity. But this is nothing but selfishness. And this is when you stop giving and you start it personal. It's simple that you don't play that game because you love yourself, you respect yourself, and you will not cross those lines. And you will not allow anybody to cross that lines to you.
When I hear you talk about love and your book, The Mastery of Love, and the other book, The 4 Agreements, and just talking to you today, the biggest takeaway lesson for me is I have a story about who I am. I have a narrator about who you are, and everything that I interpret and experience is about me and no one else. And the same goes for you and how you interpret and take me in. And so the mastery of love is the mastery of yourself and the mastery of your story. And it comes back to self-love and the relationship that you have with you and your story of you.
Yes, this is beautiful, really. Just to be alive is just great.
I love how you gave us this very simple, so simple that it could be easy to pass over, but this very simple and powerful practice of being grateful for everything and being generous with our life. That is just so beautiful. I wanted to just reiterate that so we all have a moment to let that sink in. Now, before we close out today, I want to make sure that you have a chance to share a piece of wisdom from the Toltec art of life and death. I know that some of what you've talked about is going to be out in that book that you're releasing. Is there anything else that you want to share about?
Well, I would like to clarify that the word Toltec comes from Nahuatl. It means artist. And when I talk about Toltec wisdom, I'm talking about the wisdom of the artist. And there's 7 billion artists in this beautiful planet Earth. Everybody is really Toltec in their own language. In English, we are artists. We are Toltec. We are artists. And as an artist, we have the eye of beauty. We love to see the beauty. And with the beauty, we can create anything, and practice it. It can go in any different direction of life. With whatever we do for life, we use that. We are the artist. We create. And if we don't like what we create, then we can change it. If we don't like the story of our life, we can change it because we're the artists and we create it. No one can change it but us. And I like to everybody to understand that point. And in this book, I show how I shift my story, that they can shift their own story and to be part of what I want to tell everybody around the world. Please help me to change the world. By doing that, I told them to change the personal world, the world that they can change and nobody else can. If they can change their own world with the time, the entire humanity will change. And let's be part of that change. Let's be part of that revolution, the revolution of love.
What an empowering time that we've had with you today, Don Miguel. It has been so powerful because it is a wonderful reminder, as you said, that we are the artist, we are the creator, we are the ones who have the power of our yes and our no. And with that yes and that no, we can create. And with our agreements, we can create. It's been truly an honor to sit and speak with you today. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been my privilege to be with all of you. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.